This is on red stools.
Oh! Hi!
Hi.
I'm just wiping the slobber off.
Yes, so we often get asked, how do you two work together? Is that not a painful kind of operation? And what we're going to share with you today is how to keep the fights clean and the sex dirty so it makes it easier to work together.
And don't get us wrong, we have some amazing, huge bunnies. But we've got a formula that makes it easier to get through quicker and gets us better results where we're still able to enjoy relationship a lot more.
Yeah, and let's be clear, this is not a sex guide. We're not here to tell you how to do the sex. Well, that's your domain. You can do that however you like. Clean or dirty, whatever. But what we want to give you is some guidelines and some boundaries that we know have worked for hundreds of people we've worked with over the last 7 years in Lead a Better Business to making sure that their operation runs smoother and that they double or quadruple their business without killing each other.
But first, I'm Edward Plant.
Oh, and
this is Rebecca Plant from Lead a Better Business. And so whether you're in a husband and wife team or multi-directors, or even just dealing with staff, these tips will help you get less fights, get less stress, and get more traction and results in your business.
Yeah, so we've found that our clients get lots of traction in understanding about roles and boundaries and keeping dance space and in passing along those messages and review, repeating to each other, even at the level that any communication with your clients, with your international team, whatever it is that you need to do. And so we're going to share with you today 5 things that we know work to support you to keep your fights clean and your sex dirty.
Works for husbands, wife, works for multi-directors, works for individual business owners. The first one, drum roll please, is know your roles.
Yeah, so we've got a great blog actually on how role playing is not made just for the business, but knowing your roles is essential to you actually achieving what it is that you'd like to.
Without this, whatever stage you are in business, it causes confusion, lack of clarity. People do things twice, or multi people do the same thing, and you also miss aspects. So we've just brought on 5 team members in the last 6 months, and as a result of that, our roles have had to continually evolve. But the importance has been in making sure that everybody knows their new roles and what is required of them. And it's as a result of that that we've been able to successfully grow by sort of tripling our team size in a short amount of time.
Yeah, because what we've seen is quite often in business, you end up doing the rubbish jobs, and that's really not good enough.
Yeah. So the other point of that is we want you doing your things that you're awesome at.
Yeah. Number 2 is stop yelling. This is a really...
That would be great, wouldn't it?
An important part in keeping the fights clean is really to stop yelling, and by that it means to often do more listening or more asking of questions in order to get the message of the communication actually set up, just as you would any other staff or team member that works for you. So stop yelling means don't necessarily take the emotional front each time you and your husband or your partner in the business actually come to be at each other. You want to stop yelling. So start asking questions. Really get to the nitty-gritty of what the communication is about.
So what normally happens in an argument, particularly with husband and wife, is bloke says something, wife doesn't listen, bloke says it louder. Wife still doesn't listen, bloke says it even louder. And it becomes a yelling match. It's different iterations of all of that.
Yeah, so please give it to me in another way.
And so we want to get to where Beck was saying. Instead of yelling, let's change it. And we've got a great little strategy called the feedback loop that you can access either by asking for it or checking it out on the website.
So number 3, from my favourite, this is what I call, this is my dance space, that is yours. But you call it...
What do I call it?
Boundaries.
Of course! Get out of my boundaries. This is my lane. Don't swim in my lane.
Yeah, and I call it this is my dance space and that is yours. And
I don't dance, you can guess. So in the Australian Army, when we went to the range to shoot weapons, you had a left of arc and a right of arc of where you were allowed to shoot and where you weren't allowed to shoot. Really dangerous if you shot outside your arc, really good if you're shot inside your arc. And business is a bit like that. You need your boundaries for where you're going to fire in and where you're not going to touch and mess in.
And netball, which is what I have played, or in other sports, these are great examples of boundaries. Each player, so if I take netball for an example, wears a bib and they have markings on the court that actually indicate where they're to go to and what their function is in that. And really having boundaries is really important in terms of a business sphere, to have those boundaries, to know where your role extends to, and to know what your actual job is and what your team's job is, but also to know your boundaries in that relationship, within that partnership. Yes, we can talk about this now, or no, I'm not okay to talk about this now. So this is my dance space, needs to go to both sides, to being in relationship and being in the business.
And so some of the practical areas for this is husband and wife teams, don't work in bed. Keep it out of the bedroom. The phone, have specific times when the phone's not answered for work and you're present with your family, your partner, whatever these are, but some good examples.
Number 4 is to focus on the right things. And by that, we're really talking about understanding the capacity of your operation and ensuring that everyone is working to capacity by understanding their priorities and working toward those.
So if you focus on the right things, what will end up happening is you'll reduce your workload, which will equal less stress, which will equal fewer fights, which will equal...
dirty sex.
Sounds good. The 5th one is learn control. You and your wife or you and your husband are probably really passionate about everything that you do, particularly parts of your business. That passion can sometimes simmer over into anger and aggression and fights. Learn how to control that. You don't always have to agree with your partner, nor always be right.
I learn to control, and this is about emotional intelligence. There's loads of conversations and case studies in leadership about emotional intelligence and when you can turn things on and turn things off. And learning control goes to that. So in order to keep your fights clean, your sex dirty, there's an element of control that needs to happen in a conversation and within your own personal leadership in order to get the outcomes that you desire.
It's a bit of letting go. We're not saying suppress it and just ignore it, but we're saying deal with it in the right place at the right time, and that's the control of that in an emotional intelligence perspective.
Yeah, and this can be challenging, but let's be honest, fighting all the time is challenging too.
So they're the 5 keys.
5.
The first one was...
know your roles.
The second one was...
stop yelling.
The third one was...
this is my dance space.
The 4th one was...
focus on the right things.
And the 5th one was...
learn control.
And so really what we want you to do is, if you chose to focus on any one of those areas, it'd have impact on how you deal with your business and the relationships inside your business. So what we'd love to know is which is that one that you need to work on first for your business growth. Let us know, hit reply, and we'd love to see how we can help you do that one better.
See.